comments from you in the audience. I'll ask you first, young lady. Do you have any public comments?
In the the restroom area, can you turn the water fountain on? Because whenever I was riding my bike around, it got thirsty and I couldn't get any water from it.
No, it's been off since it started.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am, I will look into it.
Thank you.
Ms. Polly?
Nothing new. So just skip me.
Okay. Bobby?
Good to see you.
Pardon?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
That's all.
Ms. Cole?
Not today, thank
Not today. Mr. Poole?
I just want to thank y'all for serving and what you do, because it takes a lot of time and effort. And I appreciate y'all doing this survey. You know, and if you got any ideas on how we can get it out better, please let us know. And, you know, because we're not trying to keep it a secret. And, but again, I thank y'all for allowing me to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, thank you and your spouses for letting you serve. And putting up with talking to you. 'Cause I put up with talking to you.
Putting up with you.
Your name was.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you.
Now let's move on to the polling of council. I will start down there. Miss Cynthia?
Nothing.
Have anything? Miss Good?
I'm good.
Mr. Stan? Mr. Tom?
Where do we stand with the traffic study?
Traffic study has been completed. They are doing the analysis. I do want to talk about the radar sign in the mayor's minutes, but I will hold that till I get to that section. But basically, short answer is they're doing the data analysis on the traffic study now. When I talked to Brendan last week, he said probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. That remains top on my list.
Okay. Dina, clerk's comments?
There's been a couple of things. I am working on personnel policy. I've called Coweta County, so they're working on getting me theirs. We're gonna try to mirror image some things. For our safety and liability grant, we have to have a personnel policy, and there's only a few policies, and they're not close to anything that we need, so we need to get a book upon us and review that. So far, we've only had 38 businesses come in. That's the most in the past 5 years. So we were excited about that. My latest fella came in last week and renewed his license. We received another rebate check for $132 for the LEDs that we got. So I think we spent $902 and got $264 back for the rebate for Georgia Power. So that was awesome. Also, too, we went out to bid for some carpenter bee treatment, and we found out that since the bees do not digest the wood, the only way you can kill the bees is if you actually sprayed the bees. So Blue went and bought a couple of traps. They work very good, and also DPC Services came out and donated the treatments to us. It's cut back a lot, but we still have carpenter bees.
So they did come out?
Yes.
Because I was out here that day.
And then it rained, so they have to come back. Yeah, but they did a lot of treatments out in the brush for different kinds of bushes and trees that we have around here.
Okay.
And then they sprayed the building.
Okay.
But then it rained, so they said they'd be back to do that
Okay.
again.
Where's the carpenter bees problem at? And where's the problem with the carpenter bees?
Everywhere.
Everywhere in this, where you see brown
I mean,
wood
it's just all over
outside.
the place.
They are eating the front lobby door,
They do a lot of
entranceway.
damage.
They are eating holes all the way to the very end of the building, to the
When you
side building.
leave, look at our traps. I've already dumped them once, and I might have to dump them again
Yeah, okay.
because they're so full.
I might be able to help you with that a little bit.
Okay.
I just treated my mother's house last night.
Okay. Excellent.
And that's all I'm gonna share today.
Okay. All right. Any comments from mayor, council, or anything else before I shift into the mayor's minutes? Okay, excellent. We just completed at the end of March, at the beginning of April, we just completed our first quarter of 2019. We run on a January to December fiscal calendar, so we have completed 25% of the year. And long story short, on our expenses, we are at 19%, and then at revenues, we are at 37%, are the two big numbers that I wanted to share with council. So we are above on revenues, and we are below on expenses. A lot of this, in fact, all, if not all of it, credit goes to Dina for her bookkeeping, for tracking, the way that she manages the accounts, and she holds us and our vendors and our creditors accountable. So Dina, thank you for your hard work. Council, if you guys will look at the expense accounts first, I will run over some of the numbers and whatnot that I have drafted up. And I will make a copy of this available to the public so you guys will have something to look at. We just weren't able to get it quite formatted in a way that I was satisfied with, but I will make this available to the public. You will see that under the expense accounts, we're at 19% for the year. The green is on target. It's between 25% and up. The yellow is below projections, 23 to 27. And then above the projections are the red, which is anything from 25 and above. So if you look at the biggest expense that we've had on our expenses is our education and training. That is because we have brought in 3 new staff in the last year and have gone to a total of 6 conferences. Even though that is at 124%, we're budgeted for $2,000. We are at $2,485, so we're $485 over. What we'll do as we get to probably the 3rd quarter, we will realign the budget and just simply put some more money into this line item. Because we have done so much training, our travel is the next highest one at 38%. Simply when you're sending people to conferences all the time, I mean, our travel is going to be a little bit higher than projected. We are budgeted for $4,000 and we've spent $1,500. That leaves us $2,495 in travel. But some of that is going to be balanced out by things such as dues and fees. We're only at 3%, which is right above education and training. The repairs and maintenance on the building is a little bit higher. It's at 38%. We have spent $3,800 of the $10,000 that we have budgeted, but that accounts for a lot of the immediate repairs that we've made. Things like the lights, things like the new exit signs in here. These were not up to code. We had to bring those up. The fire extinguishers. The cameras, yes, things like that. So while we're at 38% now, it would not surprise me, and we've slowed down our spending in repairs and maintenance because we're catching up to where we were. So I expect that by the time we get halfway through the year, we should be at either right on target or a little bit below. Also, when we get rebates from the lights, we don't take that off the top, and correct me if I'm wrong, that goes into an income account, right? Okay, so anything that you're seeing on this expense account is a straight expenditure. Some of the other things that are a little bit higher, general supplies and materials, it's at 33%, which is just barely higher, but you know it's above our 25% where we are for the year. Printing services is at 35%, but that includes things like...
That's just our copier.
Copier, okay.
And copies.
Copies, okay. Cleaning services, custodial is a little bit higher because, and I'll get into that a little bit more, because we've been a little bit busier this year than we have been, and we've had to come in and do a little bit more deep cleaning because we have been so busy. The personnel services for payroll is higher only because we have not put in the increased amounts from our executive session in February.
Yes.
So, anyway, somewhere around in there, but that's going to be readjusted and we're still on track. So on the expenses, council, do y'all have any questions?
Yeah, could you take one line item and walk me through the mathematics? Because I don't see how, if you've spent $340 and you've got a budget of $1,200, you can be 28% behind, or 25% above budget.
Well, 1,200, 340 into 1,200 is just about 28, 340 is 28% of 1,200. And because it's above the 25%, it's just barely there.
Okay, you're doing it based on just a straight 25%
Yes, sir.
per quarter?
Yes, straight, because we're 1 quarter in, I just did it at a straight 25%.
But there are some of these items, and this is just a comment, some of these items, you're not gonna have 25%, 24%. You're gonna have,
Right.
like, education and training, we're not gonna have any more of that
Mm-hmm.
to speak of.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're just barely above it, you're not
Right.
24 above it, you're probably you're probably
Right.
20% above it.
Mm-hmm.
Percentages are funny things, you can make your information
Oh,
look the
absolutely.
way you want it, make it look.
Also, another thing, the repairs and maintenance also includes the repairs from the storm to the Arbor Valley building.
Yes.
That was one of the biggest line items in there,
Yes.
was that repair.
Well, it was the last, I think the $1,500, or, yeah, I think the second part that had to come out is in this year's budget.
Is it? Okay.
But the income is not, just the expenditure.
Right, yes, it's just the expense. Under general supplies and materials, one of the things that we're gonna look at, that is both interior and exterior. I think there may be room for discussion about dividing that, because we spend differently outside the building than we do inside the building. So that may be a discussion for a separate line item, just to control the costs.
And that's also for the rec center where we buy supplies for the renters.
Okay.
That's in there too.
Okay, so that it may be, we may have some justification in splitting inside and outside expenses. You'll see that roadside trimming is at 0. That's because the season runs from March to November, and we haven't gotten into that at the time this started. They did the first one,
April 20th.
yeah, something like that. Lawn care is services other than our right-of-way maintenance, so those two things are split out. So cutting the grass here, pine straw, other stuff like that. So that is where we are on expenses. Any other questions before I move on to revenues? All right, flipping over to revenues. Our main source of revenues is obviously our lost, the economy, which is our local option sales tax. The economy is doing good, so we are running over budget on those checks that are coming in. We should have, I don't have the percentage on here, we have received 19,000 of the 66,000 that we are budgeted to get, as long as the economy continues to be good and people come in and continue to spend money in the county. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, this is across the entire county, not just in Sharpsburg, right? Okay, so as long as the rest of the county is successful, we continue to be successful.
And
Which is part of-
40% of those funds come from people that do not live in Caddo County.
Yes, and that is why all of the local option sales taxes, current and upcoming, are so important, because visitors pay this, not just county residents.
Right.
Our SPLOST is a little bit under revenue right now,
Past due.
because the checks come in a month late.
Yeah.
So we got January's and February and so on, so we only had 2 checks out of the 3 that we should have received. Franchise fees for electric is at 108% already for this year. I believe we have a second check coming, don't we? Don't we get 2 checks a year?
I think we've already received the 2 checks.
Oh, you think we have?
From Coweta County,
Georgia Power and EMC?
yeah,
Okay, so we get 1 check a year, not 2 checks a year?
I think so.
Okay, all right, well then I just had that
I'll
as
have to
a
double check
note.
that.
However, we are over budget on that. Our business and occupational license is over as well, we're at 113%. And I'm gonna give all that credit to Dina, because she's the one who picks up the phone and says, "You need to come in and see me. You need to come in and see me." And when she goes to the bank, if she sees someone at the bank that owes her money,
I
she
say, you
will.
need to come see
You
me.
need to come see
Dollar
me.
General, you
And-
need to come see me.
And thankfully they have. So Dina, I'm going to give you lots of credit on that. And then the one I want everybody to jump down to is community center rentals. We are 25% of the way through the year, but we have collected at this time over half of the income that we had budgeted. And this is just through the March 31st. So Dina, can you share what you told me earlier?
Well, I didn't write the number down, so I'm gonna let you share the number, but as of April the 30th, we are up to,
Like 13,000,
$1,000.
14,000. So we are little over a quarter of the way through the year, and we're almost at our rentals. Now, of course, keep in mind that is because people have booked ahead. So we are counting revenue that we have received for stuff in October,
For all
November,
year.
December.
yeah,
But we still have the rest of the year to book out.
yeah.
But it's not future expected income.
It's income that we have received, but we continue to expect to receive more. And that is because we have Dina on the phone and we have the technology in place to make sure we don't miss calls, we don't miss possible appointments. And we're, knock on wood, we're gonna blow past that 15,150.
Y'all hear me holler, you know we did it.
You know that we have done it, yes.
But with that, it's a very busy time.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm going to talk about phone call. Actually, you know what? I'm going to jump ahead and jump to that right now. In January, Dina handled 690 phone calls.
I believe it.
In February, 480. March, 527. And in April, 795
One
phone
person,
calls. One
plus
person.
my daily.
Plus all the other stuff that she's done. So
That's a lot.
that is a lot, and Dina, I commend you on it, and we are working. We have had some intern help.
Yes.
We are looking for more consistent intern help, and if we can keep an intern consistently, that will help take some of the phone call load off of her. We continue to work with the school systems, the technical colleges to find and identify talent and bring them on. And of course, with an unpaid position, it's hard to retain them. At some point, perhaps we can bring on another part-time person, but that's a discussion for a later date. That's just a discussion for a later date. Recreation instructor fees are low. They're at 20%. We are going to be having some conversations with them as a group to discuss the fees and policies and practices going into 2020. We knew this was coming, however, that was something that we didn't want to tackle before we got some of our other ducks in a row. Our recreation center activities bring in a lot of people to the town, provide a lot of value, but we have to balance out that value with some of the income that we have that this location can generate. I don't mind giving up recreation center income to offer services and activities for our citizens. I just need to make sure that those vendors are held to the same standards that every other renter is. We treat everybody the same, and that includes a deposit, that includes a form. But there does need to be some equity in the money that is spent by our vendors and by our renters. So that's a discussion that we will continue to have. And I'll come to council and if we need to make a decision as a group. If you look down at the very bottom, it says miscellaneous other revenue. We're over 5,000% over in that column, and that is because that is our local mileage improvement grant. And next year that will be a line item. It's just something that I don't know that if we've ever gotten it. I don't know that it's ever been budgeted for. So next year that will be counted as a separate income account
That grant was only $51.85, and the other is just miscellaneous other income.
Right.
Like the LED rebates, Turin, we canceled one of the water meters out here, and stuff like that. So
Okay.
there's just
Yeah.
a couple of $100.
Yeah, so it's not, the whole amount is not all of it, but the LMIG is the bulk of it. And that is what we're gonna use to improve some of the drainage. We're gonna use it for future road work. And it's a grant that we do each year through DOT. And we have to match it with 30%.
I think so.
I think our match is 1,600,
Yeah.
something like that. So we're gonna end up having 6,700 available for that, I think, is, anyway, it's a yearly thing, hopefully.
I did forget to mention some building permits that we've got going on. Sharpsburg Baptist
Oh.
Church just paid about $2,400 for a new $245,000 worth of work they're doing at the church. And also Joe Bridges and his general contractor are working on this building up here at 54 Main. So we've got those two building permits.
Yeah, so that's, and that, building permits were budgeted at 920, so we're already well past that. And that'll just, things are happening, slowly but surely, things are starting to happen. Do I have any questions on the income charts? Okay, and for the public, we will make a copy of this available very soon. I'm hoping by the end of the week, we'll have it available here in the office. I'm hoping to get it by the end of the week. So if it's over the weekend or maybe Monday, please don't yell at me. I help it. Couple of other things real quick. I'm going to speed through the next three, and then we'll talk about the radar sign as our bookend for the last one. On Thursday, May the 30th, the Department of Community Affairs is going to send the District 4 representative, Corin Thornton, down here to talk about community redevelopment. It's going to be open to the public. We're going to invite property owners, landowners, citizens, developers that have contacted us over the last couple of months. And it's just going to be a session to where the Department of Community Affairs talks about the money that they have available, either through revolving loans, Main Street programs, historic preservation, and then the ways that the town, residents, and property owners can partner together to pull down some of those funds. Most of them are low interest to no interest. Some of them are grants. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good, robust discussion. So that way, if a particular property owner wants to do something, he will have Corin's information, he has, of course, the town's information, and then they can talk about it, and then the town can come in and partner as needed on stuff. It's going to be Thursday night. We'll meet at 6:30, probably 6:30 to 8, maybe 8:30.
I thought it was 6.
I put it at 6:30 so people
Okay.
wouldn't rush from Atlanta.
Okay.
We are going to do online registration. I will be releasing that hopefully this week to push it out. I'll put it out on Facebook, Nextdoor, maybe through the county website, and then I'll be contacting individuals directly. And if anybody knows any property owners, invite them, mention it to them. Same thing with developers. Anybody that has contacted us over the last, 4 months, 6 months or more, we will reach out to and specifically invite, but of course, open it up to the public as well.
What's the date on that?
Thursday, May the 30th at 6:30. One of the things that we heard on the campaign was the lack of lighting around Sharpsburg at most of our major intersections. I'm working with Georgia Power and EMC to get lights at intersections such as Highway 16 and Short Road, Main Street, Cole Street, Highway 54 on Tarrentine, 154 on Tarrentine, Highway 54 at Sunset, Williams, Church Street, Main Street, and Tarrentine. Those are just the main intersections that I looked at and saw, Basically, we can get lighting at these intersections for $13, $13.86 a month. This is roadway lighting provided by Georgia Power. Next month, I'm gonna hopefully come to council with a proposal to approve payment for this, and also in some of our neighborhoods. Wellsburg Station, we have 33 of the 96 or 97 houses over there in the town limits. We have a proposal from Georgia Power to provide 9 lights out there. They have given me a dollar amount, but I am looking at some different options for financing. We can pay a lump sum to construct and install them, and then a smaller monthly amount, or we can pay a larger monthly amount with nothing down for a longer period of time. If I can find a good price or product, I'd much rather pay the lump sum down and have a smaller amount due.
Is that intersections and cul-de-sacs?
Yes and no. It is the intersections, it is the cul-de-sacs, but it's also like every third house. They're gonna have light poles very similar to the ones that we have on Main Street. Not exactly like it, but very similar. It's gonna look nice. It's a very well done product. Georgia Power's doing it, and it's gonna come down to numbers. How much can we get a loan for to pay for the lump sum, or how can we finance it through Georgia Power? And I just don't have those numbers yet to present to council, but I am working on it. The next thing are street signs. As we're working on improving the image and the place of Sharpsburg, I want to have a custom street sign to identify our municipal streets. I'd like to have and I'll pass that down so y'all can see it down there. I would like to have a white background with black letters with a black border around the outside of it. We can get these street signs, just the road name sign, for about it's $23 per if we order 10 or more. This is just FYI for now. I'll bring you a complete proposal later, including the road names. But my thought is to start it downtown and then expand outward. If we buy them in groups of 10, we get a price break, and if there's other price breaks, if I can order all of them, I'd order all of them. And then we can more than likely get the county to install them. I'll double check with that. But it would let people know as they drive through Sharpsburg that they're in Sharpsburg. You know, Spalding County has blue and white. Griffin has white and blue. Tyrone has white and brown. Noonan has the big green ones with their logo on it. Municipalities have a different look, and I would like for us to stake our claim and have our own look. And I think the white background with the black letters would be something unique that is not around here.
Given the speed people go through here, they ought to be in italics. Like Florida.
I have thought about doing something like this with maybe our logo or a seal on it, but let's start small. Let's do just some of the basic stuff and do the basic stuff well, then we can get fancy. If y'all are interested, I'll pass this down. The fancy schmancy things, it's $800 for this whole thing right here. Yeah, that was my reaction. Now that's why I'm going with the $23 or $29 singles.
And they'll fit on our poles.
Yes, yes, sir. These fancy ones, $1,000 for this one. Yeah, that was kind of my reaction too.
You said you were deaf. You heard what I said?
Ma'am?
You've been saying you couldn't hear out of that ear. You sure heard what I said
What'd you say?
when you reacted to it.
That's what I did, yeah. Well, maybe we're just that much alike. That was my reaction. When she said $1,000, and it's actually more like 1080 or 1084, some other ungodly amount, I said, well, let me just do this. Yeah, keep flipping. So eventually, though, I would like to fancy it up some, but let's start small. And I hope to bring that before council next. In the next coming months as I continue to work through it. Okay, radar sign. We have turned off the radar sign while they were doing the special. However, we have had the radar sign at its current location for almost a year now. Wanted to see what the council's thoughts were on moving it to some different locations around town. That is something I would like to take recommendations from the public as far as their thoughts on it. But of course, that decision I would like to see council make. Some of the areas that we have are 154 between the high school and Tarrentine. We could do it as well on Tarrentine coming north from 54 back towards downtown. So basically the same spot where it is now, but flip it coming the other way. My personal preference would be to put it on Main Street down in front of Coweta Monument, so we catch the Main Street coming off of off of 154 on the Tarrentine and shooting down there. The current location, I think, is skewed by the Main Street stop sign and then Church Street. I think we're going to be very surprised to see the numbers and the speeds coming down Main from Tarrentine to, 154 down Tarrentine to Main Street. And then we could also put it, I think, on 54. I still haven't heard from the DOT what their policies are on that, but Highway 54 near Main Street is an option as well. So I would like to just have some discussion on that from council before we decide what to do next.
I think I was consider sticking it on 154 between about midway down, where your speed limit goes from 45 to 35. Close to the turnoff to Tarrentine.
Right.
That's the Audubon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Either there or by the monument shop. But you're gonna verify what you already know at the monument shop.
Yeah. Right. Any other?
You don't want to stick about there for a year.
No. And what I'd like to do is based on council's thoughts and public's thoughts, is have, even if we don't publicize it, say we're going to go here first, second, third, fourth, and maybe leave it there for 2 months.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And every 2 months we rotate it.
So what is the procedure picking it up and moving it?
So it basically is mounted to a bracket. All I got to do is pull it off, unscrew it, and it just comes right off.
Okay.
I will say that I have been changing that battery for every 10 to 14 days.
Text and blue changed
For the last year, and quite frankly, I'm getting tired of it. The cars no longer slow down for me when I am up on the Mule or the back of the Explorer changing it. I want to talk to the radar sign people about doing a solar option for it. So I may come to council with that request as well, because it's going to be slap dangerous for me to get up on 154 and change that battery. That's another thing I'm going to have to take into
You wouldn't
consideration.
call the sheriff's department, have them send a car out with lights
They
when
won't
you're doing
do.
it?
I mean,
You know what? I'm not calling that. Look, I'll ask them. If they say no, then they say no. But
You know, there's
Well,
a campaign going on
Yeah,
right
they-
now, it's probably a good time to ask.
that is a good point. Yes, sir. You are correct.
I mean,
Well,
never
well,
ask.
I don't want anything to happen to you. As far as going the expense of buying a solar charger, trickle charger and whatnot, this is not a solution. This thing's theoretically going to be up. We'll get the information and we'll take some steps to try to solve our problem.
Yep.
And one of the solutions is not going to be having a radar sign that we move around. It's a tool to identify.
Yep. True.
I don't want you to get run over,
Yep.
but the idea of moving it around every couple of months, theoretically, you won't even need to use it after a while.
I hope so.
Yeah, but every 9 days, the battery has to be changed.
Yeah.
Every 9 days, or it goes off.
And I will say, I've only come close to losing it once. The one time, well, I'll tell you the back. We lost it once, and then I almost lost it a second time. So we've only lost it once, and then I had to reboot it. And I think that was the day I was out of town or something, and it didn't make it past 15 or 16 days like I thought it would.
Well, you have to have a truck to get
Yes.
in the back of.
Yes, because they say it has to be mounted 7 feet above. So the bottom of the sign is right here, and the locking mechanism
You have to get in the back of the
is
truck.
about right here. So
Yeah.
I get up on the back of the truck or the back of a utility vehicle and stand up there and do it.
Well, do you want a list of 1, 2, 3 priorities, or what we can stick this thing?
If y'all want to go ahead and give them to me, absolutely. I mean, that would be, yeah, that would help me.
Do what?
He's, Tom asked if he wanted us to give 1, 2, 3 locations for the radar sign
Okay.
in order. Where are you thinking?
Midway down Tarrentine, and then 154 at Tarrentine, and then
Okay.
down on Main Street, just below here.
Oh, I didn't think about Main Street. Yeah, I didn't have that on my list. So for you, Monument Shop is 1.
154 at
154 is 2. And then
Main Street.
Main Street is
Street.
3.
West.
Stan, what are you thinking?
Probably 54, kind of in front of the cemetery coming into town.
Okay, 54 North, okay. All right. Where else?
What Tom says sounds good.
In this, in the same order?
Yeah.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Which one day, Tom Day or Stan Day?
Stan.
Miss Cynthia?
I go with Tom.
All right. Public, Ms. Pollard, what are you thinking?
I think I didn't hear anything about Main Street mentioned at all, did I? Or did I?
Yeah.
overlook?
Well, yeah, Tom.
It's
Tom-
number 3 on.
I didn't hear that one, okay.
Yeah, Tom mentioned it. Are y'all thinking Main Street in front of Town Hall or Main Street between 54 and,
Tarrentine?
Tarrentine?
I think Tarrentine is 16. That's where you have your longest stretch to go.
Okay.
Does Tarrentine hit 16? Oh, down here.
She's talking about Main Street. She's
Main
talking on
Street.
Main Street in
Oh.
between
Yeah.
Main and.
Which
Yeah,
part of Main
yeah.
Street?
But I thought you were already talking about
Tarrentine.
Tarrentine down at the Monument Place.
Yes, that is on the list as well.
Yeah, because they've been begging for a sign for years.
Mhm.
But I would like the people come in to, every day it happens, so I just happen to be there. They come in and they just will turn in, and they can turn in quickly at there, kind of like they can off of 154 to Tarrentine, because it's not a sharp turn, it's easy turn. And one came in today and he turned in, didn't slow down, and the minute he turned, he gunned it to the end of the street.
Mhm.
So there's something needs to be, if it's done on Highway 1, on 54, to slow it before that, or somewhere on Main. It's awful.
Okay. Yeah, the Cowardly Monument has number 1, 2, number 2, number 1, and then number 1, so.
Yeah, they've
Cowardly
been
Monument
asking for a long
seems to
time.
be- And I looked out there and there is a speed limit sign right before Monument's driveway. It's one of those daggum hills like that, but that is what it is. I'll work around that.
And whatever said public services.
I know, you're right. Yeah. It would be simple with a trickle charger. I mean, very simple.
Yeah, you took it too, you had a cop.
Yeah, really. So if everybody's in agreement, in the next couple of days to this weekend, I will move it from the current location down to the Monument Shop.
You don't have to do all this yourself, you can solicit help.
Okay. Will you help me? Okay, yeah, we may do that then. Okay. All right, so that is basically all the mayor's minutes that I have. We talked about the budget, Department of Community Affairs, the lighting options that I hope to bring next week, or next month, street signs in the next month or so, and then the radar sign, which we are going to shift to North Tarrentine in front of the Monument Shop. Any final comments or questions from council? Madam Clerk? Any questions from the public?
I've got one compliment
Yes,
for
ma'am.
you.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
gonna buddy you up a little bit. I've been
Okay.
coming to these things 15 years, and I can say without a doubt and a fact that that's the first thorough discussion of a budget I have ever heard.
Oh, well, good. Well,
Ever.
thank you.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Of course, anything that I do, it's not me. It's that young lady down there, it's the ladies and gentlemen up here with me.
this is the best
You
meeting
know,
we've
it's the
ever
team,
had.
it's the team that I have around me. The county is a tremendous help. They're the ones that came out here and put up the signs after Tom did the sign survey of everything that we needed.
They have been a blessing to work with. too.
It's Dina contacting and shepherding all these interns, the business, I mean, so it's.
They have helped me with my files. I have got my records retention files, and I've got our convenience files that we have separated. So now I get to work with county to county now on an IGA on using some shelf space. So I'm tickled.
Yeah, so it's the team. I mean, it's not me, it's the team that we have around us, so. All right, so if there's anything else, if there is not anything else, and it is the council's wish, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
And we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor? All right, and meeting is adjourned.